My name is Mia. For the past 28 years, I have believed in and acted according to the theory of inherent goodness. I usually believe that mutual understanding can be achieved through open-hearted dialogue with people, and I have indeed built relationships that way. However, I have met someone I cannot fully understand for the first time. This person is my brother's fiancée, which I had never imagined. On the day my brother invited her home, our entire family, including myself, was thrilled from early in the morning. My brother, Nathan, is 31 years old, and we knew about his girlfriend, whom he has been dating for about a year. He has become more fashionable lately, looking happily at his smartphone, and 3 weeks ago, he took a short trip with her over the weekend. Our family had been discussing that it was about time for Nathan to propose marriage. Then, Nathan announced, "I'm inviting her over this weekend because I'm considering marriage." Her name is Sherry, and she is 26 years old, 2 years younger than me. It feels a bit strange that she will be my younger sister-in-law. Indeed, if I were to divorce your father and remarry a younger man, he would become your father too. In that case, I will marry a woman younger than Mia. She would become a younger mother, joked my father. We all laughed heartily at what he said. We are a family of 6, including our parents, my brother and me, and our 2 cats, Loki and Milo. Our home is quite harmonious. The day Sherry was to visit, we planned to have lunch as a family, and our mother had started preparing early in the morning. Western food is best. I wonder what her family's food is like. Maybe it's light. Our home has strong flavors as Dad preferred, and we usually have slightly rich-tasting food. What if she doesn't like it? My mother was worried as she prepared for her visit. I helped prepare an avocado salad and fresh spring rolls with beef stew as the main dish. Sherry has a petite and delicate build, not flashy but exuding a charming beauty. She seemed very reserved and calm. Later, I would realize that first impressions of people are not always reliable. During the meal, we introduced ourselves and enjoyed a pleasant time. Sherry ate less, as expected, and seeing this, Nathan was encouraging her to eat more. "I'm sorry I can't eat much," Sherry said apologetically, and both our parents encouraged her, saying, "Don't worry about it." Meanwhile, Nathan, using me as an example, said, "It's much better than eating tons like Mia, which was unnecessary." However, I also had someone fun who told me eating with Mia makes any food taste delicious. Cheers to eating. For dessert, Sherry brought a cake, and our mother prepared a special tea to accompany it. "Nathan, you are tall like your dad. Your dad is also tall and charming." "My father has completely become an old man," Sherry said, making my father blush a bit. But since then, I began to feel an indescribable discomfort. Sherry clearly engaged less in conversation with my mother and me. She mostly talked with the men and gave short responses when my mother or I spoke to her, and the conversation didn't liven up at all. She showed no intention of making the conversation lively. "Excuse me, may I use the bathroom?" Sherry asked as she stood up, and my mother quickly replied, "Of course, Mia will show you the way." Our house isn't very large, but we usually guide people this way to hide miscellaneous items and luggage in the hallway. "Which university did you graduate from, Mia?" Sherry asked as we left the living room. "Actually, I didn't go to college. I wasn't good at studying," I answered. "Is it normal to be interested in the educational background of your future sister-in-law? Maybe I should ask Nathan later." Then she said, "Oh, is that so? Nathan mentioned that you're unemployed. Nathan, have you been portraying me as someone who stays at home unemployed?" "Actually, I am a somewhat renowned plush toy maker. I create plush toys modeled after past pets and imaginary creatures. Actually, I make plush toys at home." "Sherry, do you have a favorite animal? If you request one, I'll make it and give it to you as a gift." I thought I had done my best to be hospitable, but she politely declined me with a smile. "I'm not very fond of plush toys or dolls, and I don't really like animals either, so I'll have to decline." As I stood in a daze in front of the bathroom, Sherry opened the door and went inside. What just happened? I felt as if my existence had been completely negated. I went back to the living room and complained to my brother. "Does Sherry dislike animals? She said she hates plush toys. When I tried to give her a present, she declined." "Is that so? I also gave her a plush toy once and she cried saying she was sorry, but she was not good with it. As a result, I ended up buying a necklace," Nathan said with a wry smile. Please wait. Was she hoping for jewelry from the beginning? Is it narrow-minded of me to suspect such a thing? Actually, it's not that she hates animals, but she has allergies to dogs and cats. Since we have Loki and Milo, she thought it would be difficult to live together. We were going to discuss that today, Nathan explained. Both our parents were surprised but showed understanding, saying, if that's the situation, there's nothing we can do, and Loki and Milo are family, so we can't just kick them out. Still, I had my doubts about her allergy. Sure, there are people with animal allergies, but maybe it was just an excuse to avoid living with her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Is there really an allergy to plush toys? Are there people who react allergically to that? It is clear that my gift was rejected. When Sherry came back from the bathroom, my father had started asking about how they met. She works at the front desk of a client company, Nathan began, revealing that Sherry was known among his colleagues as the cute petite bright woman at the reception. Nathan himself works for a large corporation. Simply put, he is an elite. Once, a not-so-petite woman from another front desk invited her to a joint company mixer. I'm actually not good at mixers, Sherry said with a troubled expression. But thanks to that, I got to know Nathan better, so I'm glad I participated, she said, looking up at my brother. Oh, my pathetic brother. Completely smitten, his head is in the clouds. My father was also completely smitten, saying, please look after my son, and suggesting to me, Mia, you should try to be a bit more ladylike like Sherry. That is really none of their business. After Sherry left, my mother, who was cleaning up, said, I wonder if she didn't like the food. She didn't say anything about it and didn't eat much. I was also concerned about that. While helping, I quietly asked my mother. Ultimately, she only talked with Nathan and Dad and hardly interacted with us, right? Oh, now that you mention it, I think you're right. I always saw her smiling, so I missed it, my mother said, not yet having negative feelings towards her. I discussed all these events later with my boyfriend, Keith. Yeah, there are women like that. Popular with men but have few female friends, and if they do have friends, they only use them to stand out. Keith expressed negative feelings towards Sherry. Do you think so too? That's troubling. To think she will be my brother's wife and my sister-in-law in the future, I felt very heavy-hearted. Keith is 34 years old and owns several cafes and stores, and his unique store designs often make a splash on social media. He asked me to place the plush toys I made in his stores, and that's how we became close. He is interested in mythical creatures like Cerberus and dragons, and other bizarre creatures he comes up with. These plush toys have been lined up in his stores, creating a buzz, and my reputation in the area has greatly improved. I'd also like to meet them. Next time your brother and his girlfriend come over, can I join too? Keith suggested. He is clearly enjoying this. Hey, think about it. How about using my store for the after party? He suggested. The venue is spacious and serves not only coffee but also alcohol and various dishes, so it might actually be a good choice. It would make a perfect excuse to introduce Sherry to Keith. For that purpose, I planned a day filled with various elements, inviting my brother and Sherry to use the place as a venue for the after party, and introducing my boyfriend Keith. Sherry's reaction was truly noteworthy. She was surprised by the flashy and eye-catching interior of the shop, and showed great interest upon learning that it was popular on social media. I'm surprised Mia has such a wonderful boyfriend, she commented to Keith, and when she learned about his other stores, she looked at me a bit enviously. I felt a bit smug inside. My clueless brother didn't notice the women's strategic moves at all, and exclaimed, Mia, I thought you were shut in. But when did you get such an amazing boyfriend? And told Keith to take good care of my sister. I'm not shut in, though. In the end, we were turned down from using that place for the after-party because it was a bit far from the wedding venue and the decor was too eccentric, which might not appeal to the older guests. It was just an excuse, so no problem. But maybe Sherry wanted to divert attention from us if she actually were to be a patron at my boyfriend's store. Yeah, really. It's better not to get too close to that girl. If you talk bad about her to Nathan, I think you would be the one blamed, Keith told me, leaving me suspicious. Would my brother believe the words of a new girlfriend over his sister of 28 years? The first family meeting was held. Sherry chose a rather sophisticated French restaurant. To be honest, both my mother and I have little experience with French cuisine. Sherry glanced at us disdainfully as we clumsily handled the knife and fork, unfamiliar with the manners. And the men were completely oblivious to it. The usual pattern. It was clear that Sherry's father doted on his daughter, and although her mother had a very humble and kind demeanor, similar to Sherry, I was surprised to see that she almost ignored her own mother. Living with a doting father and a daughter who scorns her seems very difficult. My mother also commented that, poor mother. Mom, I don't think this marriage is good, I bravely told her. That's true. I also feel there are some problems with Sherry, she replied. The problem is that the men don't notice it at all. Hey Nathan, does Sherry have any female friends? What's up all of a sudden? Yes, she does. Like that not-so-tall receptionist girl, she's supposed to be her friend. From his wording, it felt like Sherry considered herself superior to that girl. Sherry only talks to you, Dad, and even Keith, always ignoring us, the ladies in the family. What are you talking about? That's not true. Sherry is not like that. Please stop acting like a jealous sister-in-law from now on. No matter how much I conveyed it, my brother thought I was just being jealous. Wedding preparations were going smoothly, and Sherry had already quit her job to focus on them. My brother said, I'm sorry to leave everything to Sherry, but I felt that she wanted to control the wedding exactly as she wished. There was nothing I could do, and the wedding day was approaching. Then that phone call came. The night before the wedding, I received an unexpected direct call from Sherry on my mobile phone. I hadn't given her my contact information, so Nathan must have passed it on to her. Hello, Mia. Regarding tomorrow's ceremony and reception, it is dishonorable for the family to have an unemployed person who can't contribute financially to attend. Please refrain from coming if you're poor. We have not prepared a seat for you. I was at a loss for words at her unexpected request. What was she thinking? I was looking forward to attending and felt more surprise than anger, and the call ended without me being able to respond. Mom, Sherry just told me on the phone not to invite me to the ceremony. What? What does that mean? Then I contacted Nathan. It's unimaginable that I, as his sister, would not be allowed to participate in the ceremony or reception. Nathan must think the same. It was hard to get in touch with him because he was at work, but when we finally spoke, he said, Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you hated Sherry, and I couldn't argue well. Sherry thinks you hate her, so there was no need to force you to participate, and receiving formal congratulations from someone who dislikes her is painful, he told me. Is that really true? Did she actually show tears? And does Nathan believe that? I was just stunned. It seems like nothing I say will have any effect on my brother. My mother and I looked at each other and sighed in frustration. Just then, the doorbell rang, signaling a visitor. Surprisingly, Sherry's mother was standing at the door. I overheard my daughter talking on the phone. I think this is unacceptable, so I rushed over here. I'm sorry for the sudden visit, she apologized in the entrance. We invited Sherry's mother inside and listened to her story. She is, even from a mother's point of view, a terrible child. She disregards me, and her father does whatever she says, never listening to me. It's been like this for a long time. Sherry's mother spoke sadly, yet firmly. The first time I noticed it was when she was just 3 years old. I scolded her for touching my makeup. It's dangerous if she puts it in her mouth. But she didn't cry at all, she just stared at me defiantly. When her father came home, she ran to the entrance, clung to his legs, and burst into tears. When he asked what happened, I explained that I had scolded Sherry for playing with the makeup. He hugged her, saying, You're such a girly girl at only 3 years old. At that moment, Sherry looked at me and smiled smugly. Hearing this, I shuddered. I couldn't believe she had been manipulating people from the age of 3, using her appearance to protect herself. According to Sherry's mother, she is not only skilled at influencing men but also powerful women to support her. Since then, Sherry has always behaved like a sweet daughter in front of her father, and a capricious child towards her mother. Even when Sherry's mother complained about her behavior to her father, he wouldn't listen at all. The problem is with you, the mother. Why bring up such paranoid delusions? I've heard that even between mothers and daughters, there can be jealousy among women. I didn't think you were such a person, but it's shameful that you're jealous of your daughter, he harshly criticized her. That's awful. I was at a loss for words. You really have suffered. I can only imagine how much you've endured, my mother comforted her, and Sherry's mother began to cry, unable to hold back her emotions. I've made up my mind. If Sherry refuses to let my daughter attend, I won't attend the ceremony either. I cannot support such a marriage. What, Mom? It's a big problem if the groom's mother suddenly cancels, I exclaimed in shock, while Sherry's mother also tearfully declared her refusal to attend. I won't attend either. I don't want to involve other families and cause more unhappiness. I've made up my mind, she said. I felt the situation escalating but also thought this might be a chance to stop my brother's marriage. She had clearly crossed a line. The impact of her mother's accusation was immeasurable. Sherry is definitely the type of person you should stay away from. Her becoming a part of the family would be a nightmare. To protect my brother, I want to stop this at all costs. For now, we booked a room at a hotel near the wedding venue and started planning together. We left a letter for our father saying, "There's a lot to prepare the night before the wedding, so we'll stay at the hotel and go directly to the venue." Men don't question when a woman says she needs to prepare. Especially Dad, my mother said. In the end, we decided to inform only my brother beforehand about the situation. The phone call from Sherry to me, her mother's supportive testimony, and our 3 women opposing this marriage. So we've decided not to attend tomorrow's wedding. It's not because of an accident or a crime, so please don't contact the police. You should think carefully too, my mother firmly said, and hung up the phone without hearing my brother's objections. Then, the 3 of us refused all contact from my brother and father. Somehow, I'm excited about this serious plan we're working on. Sherry's mother seemed to be especially enjoying herself. Then, the day of the wedding arrived. When we reached the venue, Dad and Nathan immediately came over to us. "Where have you been? How could you make us worry like this?" That was an understandable reaction, especially since it would indeed be a problem if my mother was absent. Apparently, the car broke down on the way, and Nathan had been using that as an excuse. The venue was nearly full, and the bride and groom were about to enter. "Dad, did you notice that there is no seat for me? I couldn't find my name in the family seating area. Sherry called yesterday and said that an unemployed poor person would be a disgrace to the family, so she told me not to come. In fact, she never intended to prepare a seat for me." While my father was shocked, Sherry's father exclaimed, "Nonsense. My daughter would never say such a thing." "But it's true. I heard that phone call." Sherry's mother corroborated. An attendant approached and asked, "Is there a problem?" "Actually, I'm the groom's sister, and it seems there is no seat prepared for me." The attendant looked incredulous. "I don't need a meal, just a chair at least," I requested, and they added a chair to the family seating area. When the bride and groom entered, Sherry could not hide her surprise upon seeing my mother and me sitting in the family area. She looked like she wanted to say something but held back. Once the bride and groom were seated, we also stood up and borrowed the microphone from the event host. "I am the groom's mother. Thank you very much for attending this wedding despite your busy schedules. I am the bride's mother. Please forgive this sudden address." And then it was my turn to speak. "I am the groom's sister, and I cannot support this marriage today." My statement caused a momentary silence in the venue, followed by a murmur spreading through the crowd. Yesterday, Sherry called me directly and said, "Don't attend because an unemployed, poor person is a disgrace to the family. In fact, I am neither unemployed nor poor." But my brother sided with Sherry and did not support me. After this testimony, Sherry's mother continued, "I'm sorry, but Sherry has been skilled at manipulating men and looking down on women since she was little. Her father always obeys her words. No matter how much I appealed, I was always the one blamed." Then my mother concluded, "We do not wish for such a woman to be our son's spouse." I can't believe it. "Why would you say such things, Mom? Just because Mia and her mother-in-law dislike me? This is too much," Sherry said tearfully. The men in the venue immediately sympathized with her tears at the bride and groom's table. The atmosphere in the venue became tumultuous, and it seemed to be turning against us. However, there were people who broke this situation. 3 women seated at Sherry's friend's table stood up and began to testify about Sherry's past behaviors and words. One took the microphone and said, "We understand this story well." She continued, explaining that Sherry behaves entirely differently in front of men and women. She quickly grasps the situation and acts accordingly, skilled at maneuvering. Men are misled by her appearance and attitude, feeling the need to protect her, and women who criticize her are quickly vilified. She is adept at finding others' weaknesses and using them to manipulate people to her will. It seemed that these women had also been quite dissatisfied with how they had been treated by Sherry. Taking this opportunity, they began to accuse her one after another. Finally, one said, "Thank you for providing us with this platform to confess. The friends gathered here did not originally want to participate. The reality is that the men do not understand the truth. We want to show that people are not just their appearances." Sherry and her father's faces were filled with astonishment. The venue erupted into chaos. At that moment, Nathan began speaking with a solemn expression. "Thank you all for coming today. However, unfortunately, I have decided to call off this marriage." Looking back, my sister had sensed the truth early on. I was too caught up in my own perceptions to listen to her. Thinking calmly, marrying a woman who wouldn't even provide a seat for my sister is inappropriate. The aftermath was extremely challenging. We returned the gifts to the guests and negotiated cancellation fees with the venue. During this time, Sherry pleaded tearfully, "Everyone is trying to bring me down. This treatment shouldn't be allowed." It seems that only Sherry's father truly believed her tears. Since this incident, Nathan has developed significant doubts about trusting women. It's not surprising. I tried to encourage him by saying, "It's good that you were only planning to register your marriage later." And since we talked directly at the venue, we avoided the trouble of explaining individually, but it wasn't very comforting. Stepping back from Sherry, Nathan seemed to have sensed something too. "Next time I date someone, I'll listen to both your advice and Mom's," he said with a wry smile. As a result, the cancellation fees were split in half. Sherry and her father were displeased with this decision, but Sherry's mother pushed it through decisively. Afterward, Sherry's mother decided to divorce her husband and left the house. She now seems brighter and freer. Since then, she and my mother have bonded and have become good friends, visiting each other frequently. Sherry, having caused a major scandal, is shunned by former acquaintances and remains reclusive, unable to return to work. Her father still dotes on her, but they live in a deteriorating home, unable to do much. Will he only realize the importance of a wife or mother after losing them? Or is his anger over the ruined wedding stronger? "Hey, that was tough, huh? By the way, Mia, are you interested in having your own studio?" Keith made this proposal after the busy days had settled down. "Your plush toys are very popular. I was thinking maybe we could increase the production a bit. I provide the funds, so how about hiring some staff and opening an official workshop?" It was an attractive proposal, but I argued that I couldn't rely too much on him for everything. Then, he casually said, "Investing in a future wife is natural," and proposed to me. If it's okay to skip a wedding ceremony and reception. That reception we experienced has become a slightly bitter memory. Keith, smiling, then suggested, "How about we have a small party at my store instead?" While I feel a bit sorry for my brother, I'm cherishing my own happiness.